Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for listening live or listening in the replay. Just appreciate you and all the support. So, wherever you are listening in the world, always appreciate you. Thank you. We're on our 109th episode. And so, just appreciate everybody for supporting the vault. Continue to listen to the vault. And we just appreciate all of you all support for just wanting to tune in and be open to having a conversation of family and focusing on legacy and wealth preservation, asset protection, things that matter to entrepreneurs, things that matter to investors, and things of that nature. So really excited about that. Just thank you all for always showing that level of support. If you would like to get in contact with us, go to welcometothevault.com. Everything is spelled out, welcometothevault.com, and you can feel free to reach out to us, on the email list, and feel free to reach out to the vault if you would like a consultation. So Christian at trustchristian.com. Thank you, Trey and Ernest and Chopper. Appreciate you all for tuning in live, listening as well, everybody, into replay. So definitely don't have too much news today. Actually, there could be some news out there. Let's look and see. Oh, we had a great one, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna read this to you all. This is on the website. John Paulson plots a path to spin off funds and transition to a family office. So, ladies and gentlemen, listen to these terminologies. Founder creates proprietary hedge fund. Proprietary for personal wealth. Spinoff could allow billionaire to share in fee revenue. Paulson created what is called a side-by-side management arrangement, in which the firm conducts its flagship trading strategies through two separate sets of funds. So two separate trusts, correct? Okay. According to the March regulatory filing, one group serves as a proprietary trading vehicle for the 63-year-old founder. The other holds outside capital as well as smaller portions of Paulson's money. So, as you all can see, ladies and gentlemen, there's what? Asset protection through asset separation. Everything's not in his name. And these are funds that are holding, and you'll see the numbers here. The restructuring, see how's the restructuring going on? Own nothing, control everything. Would enable Paulson to eventually spin off the funds to employees, a scenario he briefly mentioned during the January podcast where Paulson scored huge profits during the 2008 housing collapse. Investment losers and customer defections in recent years drained the firm to at least $9 billion of its November peak in 2011 at $38 billion. So funds have been lost, and this guy had a job for a while. So really just wanted to highlight that story. You all can Google that story. John Paulson plots a path to spin off funds in a transition to family office. You all can see it's a great story where you all can see they even have the proprietary funds can change their trading programs and otherwise invest in assets that may not be consistent with the approach for outside client funds following the same strategy according to the registration. So do you see how their wording and their structuring inside of their document is different than most approaches? It's not averaged. Paulson can also withdraw his capital at any time from the proprietary funds, which have leeway to make different investments than the outside funds based on tax and regulatory considerations. So great article, ladies and gentlemen, for you all to engage in. We always do some investigation. I don't know if the last episode we released this information, but this is a great one for you all. How the Uber IPO exposes how Saudi cash, which is Saudi Arabia cash, drives Silicon Valley innovation and even the biggest tech companies. So Uber's S1 filing showed that Saudi Arabia's public investment fund owns 5% of the company. Now, The public investment fund also is at the top of the investor of SoftBank, which is a vision fund, which owns 16% of Uber, not to mention the sizable stakes in companies like Slack, WeWork, and DoorDash. So then we have Saudi Arabia has been criticized for human rights abuses and repressive laws. So it's a problematic source for cash for Silicon Valley, which it prides itself in changing the world. But Silicon Valley is under attack like never before these days, and that causes a cynical search for stability that seems to have made up Saudi money a non-issue. So, ladies and gentlemen, they got the Saudi money in Uber. This has been exposed publicly now. So they say the Vision Fund, which is Saudi, has pretty much contributed 45 billion to its massive fund of 100 billion bankroll that they're looking to put inside of this environment here, which is very, very interesting. So as you all can see, they're not, the states is really too happy about that when it comes to that Saudi money inside of Uber, which is American companies. They don't want outside investors having large stakes. And I mean, when you're dealing with companies like that, they have shareholders. Not everybody has 60%. Some people do have portions, and so having that portion of what is that 6% is a big deal. So great articles. So we're going to move into the show right now, which is when you know you're ready for a trust. This information about a trust is coveted by individuals that know legalese and contract. You know you're ready when you're able to have a mindset of own nothing, control everything. Talking to lawyers over the years, they have their clients say, yeah, we don't want to divest ourselves of the assets. And so it's interesting to see, lawyers say that about, those positions that these people are coming to them in, saying, hey, help me protect my assets. Asset protection comes through what? Asset separation. When you know you're ready for the trust, the mentors say when you had $30 million, because the SEC says you don't need to have this information if you're not making $30 million. You don't have anything to lose. It's interesting to see it. The SEC has laws in place saying that there's no need to learn about certain pieces of information, or certain pieces of financial investments are not available to you because you don't make a certain amount of money a year. So, when you know you're ready for a trust, they say is when you know you have something to lose. When you know you're ready for trust, you seek mentorship, you seek counsel. It really is called counsel. They call it counsel in terms in which the environments that we were brought up and raised is you pretty much are brought up in the knowledge. So you know you're ready because you're brought up in it. It's contract. That's the lifestyle. You know you're ready when you know that there's power in giving money away, not just making money. See, people think it's about making money. One of the mentors said it's about giving, and it says the power of giving. The more you give, the more you get back. And there's ways to put that in play in your life through charity. That's why Mark Zuckerberg has the money going from Facebook to the Zuckerberg Foundation. He doesn't need the money. Own nothing, control everything. So let's see. Well, you know you're ready for a trust. You know you're ready when you have someone that's asking you to be a trustee. When someone's asking you to be a trustee, it's time to look into it. It's time to seek the knowledge of trusteeship, because it's stewardship. And it puts you in a position of puts you in a position of control, but in a position of responsibility, puts you in a position of integrity. So you know you're ready for a trust when you're ready to have a legacy. There's over 80 different types of trust. So they have skip generation trust. They have, look into this information. Grab hold of it. Why? Because this is the information that's coveted by the people that are in the know. Why? Because even the Bible's written in a trust contract. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, this is you know you're ready for a trust when you can put things together in contract form. It's a contract between you and your creator. And who is your creator? It's your mother and your father. So that's a family trust. You know you're ready for a trust when your family has something to give to you, and you have something to give to your children. That's when you know you're ready. You might know you're ready when you're John Paulson and you're actually, what did he say he was doing? Putting it in a position, where not necessarily his children, it didn't report that his children were holding. He just put it in a position where it can get in and out of investments in a particular manner, which were very favorable. And didn't say that he had ownership. You didn't hear any ownership, but you heard more in a fund, so you hear in more of a third party perspective. So you know you're ready for a trust when you want to live like any elite lives, like any individual that's walking around. The President of the United States said, I don't have to release the records. Why? Because it's not public, it's private. That's why. I don't have to control everything. What do I need to show? I didn't do anything. You guys want me to make something up here? He didn't go as far as to say that. He didn't say, do you want me to just make up something? It was more of, I'll release something, okay. Isn't that what we all do? Publicly, whatever you want to show publicly, you show. I don't have to control everything, though. So, when you know you're ready for a trust, when you're ready to operate internationally, because your corporation is not going to be able to operate internationally. You hear about people saying they're operating with international corporations, but you guys look at international laws, international protections. International law is private law. International law is private law. So international law being private law means that public entities such as S corps, LLCs, and C corps do the research on how they maneuver in other countries. Not always favorable, particularly if it's an American entity. So this is research that you do from being out there doing business in those jurisdictions, having people that you can talk to about in those jurisdictions. And we were talking to a consultation the other day, and they were saying that there's a partner of theirs that referred them to listen to the vault because of the trust knowledge that's talked about. And it was just such a big shout out, and we thank you for doing that, because it is important to at least say, hey, if I'm in the entity or you're in the entity, then individuals would share that information, where that's what happened. And so because of a business deal that other people were doing together, they say, hey, there's people still out there that are talking about this message that we're talking about and doing business in this fashion, and this will help you come up to speed, because this is college course status. This is at this point where you can go back and get a good reference for, hey, I don't really know about private trust, I don't know about public trust, I don't know about the 80 trust, but there's some good content that can help me maneuver in a fashion in which I can now say, hey, I've done about 30 hours of this content, and I got some questions for you, lawyer. I got some questions for you, maybe an accountant. Have you heard about this entity? What do you do with this entity? How do you maneuver with this entity? you hear people sit around and say, oh, I have a foundation, but it's not a private foundation, it's a public foundation. A lot of charities out there, not too many private foundations though. But you all can look up some private foundations. It's the Ford Foundation, it's the Carnegie Foundation, it's the Rockefeller Foundation. Those are some big ones right there. I want to name, you know, the ones that are kind of in the top 5, so you can see how much assets, you know, and charity we hold, and God we trust. So it's going to be in a charitable place. It's going to be in a charitable position. Because isn't religion charitable? Right. So there's a mindset to be upheld, and you know you're ready for a trust once again when you're ready to give something away. I think that's a very general statement, and then when you get into the aspects and thought processes behind it of really what am I giving it away in that fashion for? And we always talk to clientele and we say, are you aware of taxes that are associated with that? And they say, yep. And so we say, talk to your tax attorney. There is a thing called a gift tax. Are you not aware of that? If you give gifts away, these are things that people may not be aware of before it happens. But then when it happens, they're like, oh man, I didn't think that was going to happen. I didn't know that was going to happen. And then it happens. Oh, nothing control everything ensures that. When do you know you're ready for the trust? Is when you do your research and you say, man, aren't politicians public trustees? I want to help out my community. I want to be a steward to my community. I want to be a steward to the community, and that's a trusteeship role. It's not an ownership role. They don't own that role. It's a trustee position role, which is beautiful. So when you know you're ready for a trust, when it comes to you, you waited your whole life. You wonder how J.D. Rockefeller built such a mass wealth. A man that didn't even have a high school education. You wonder how he did it. What was the tool that he had? What was the secret weapon that he had? That was the secret weapon. Then we go to Andrew Carnegie. Yeah, he did build industry. He took over industry. But what did these individuals get accused of? They got accused of antitrust lawsuits. These individuals understand how to move wealth for hundreds of years. You still see their name at the colleges that your children or you may have went to. And this is all successful entrepreneurs in that perspective. We even go to the most modern. We don't need to do the 100-year-old examples of Ford. Ford, they had a court case about the man and his what is that IQ. So let's look at modern. Well, Bill Gates dropped out of college, right? He did that. Okay. What about Zuckerberg? Zuckerberg, he dropped out of college. Okay, this is a tool. It's the Zuckerberg Foundation. It's the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. You know you're ready when you get it. You inquire about it. You study it. Why? Because you understand the mindset behind it. You can see 100 years out. Why? Because you can see 100 years back how somebody's name is in your ear. Whose name is that? J.D. Rockefeller. The Kennedys. The Kennedys have been around for easy 60 years. That's long enough, ladies and gentlemen. Will your last name stick around for 60 years? Will you have a legacy sticking around for 60 years? 5 generations later, the individuals that know that they're ready for a trust, they're ready for generations to be bequeathed something. It is about family. Always been about family. Always will be about family. So, who's ready? Who's ready, ladies and gentlemen? The individuals that say, okay, it's time to stop thinking about me and self, and it's about the family. It's about, some people would say even about the public, because if you think about it, the charity is the whole assets for the public. Well, how come you've never worked next to a Rockefeller? That last name is pretty much taken care of. What was of their last name, they're taken care of. Some last names end up getting out of what we call the workforce. So, appreciate you all for tuning in live or listening to replay. It's such a blessing. Always appreciate you all. It's just such peace and joy to you all and you and your families, especially everyone that tunes in live. If you all have any questions, feel free to type them into the chat. The Matrix Media, what I'll say to your question is that it's business, it's not personal. When you know you're ready for a trust, when you're ready to make your life a business and not make it personal. It's not about where you're from. It's not. Because it's about legacy. So at one point you just have to create a legacy and carry out a legacy. So when do you know you're ready for a trust? When you're ready to give away something, when you're ready to be a steward or something. Sometimes as a beneficiary you don't have that choice. You don't know you're ready when you're the beneficiary. How do you know that? Not in all cases, but how do you know that? How you know? When you're ready to go private, that's when you know. When you're ready to go private, that's when you want to know about trust. Let's go private. It's called do a Zuckerberg. It's called do a Ford. It's called do a Carnegie. It's called do a Bill Gates. That's what it's called. It's called do, ladies and gentlemen, you all can Google Steve Jobs of Apple. His salary was $1. You all can do your Google search, because that's the public. And in the public reports, what he released to the public was, guess what? I took $1. Was he that passionate about his dream? So, it's just a way of a lifestyle. So, you all can feel free to type questions in the chat. I see a lot of people on live, so I just wanted to thank you all for tuning in. Fred, Cassandra, Chief Justice, appreciate you all. Bogus Law, appreciate you all. It's always a pleasure. Yes, so the Vault Trustee Training last week, 21st kickoff. We're going Easter Sunday. What a beautiful day. Trustee Training. This is it. So, really excited about the 12-week course kicking off. And just really focused on making sure that trustees are where they all want to be in life, ladies and gentlemen. Own nothing, control everything. That's when you know you're ready for a trust. It's that simple. Ladies and gentlemen, we wanted to keep this episode really short and sweet. Thank you all for tuning in live or listening to replay. Where you know you're ready for a trust is because you at least are inquiring about something different for your family other than what's colloquial. Something that's more than just, oh, I don't know about it. You know, oh, that's only for rich people. Well, what do you plan on being? Rich. You know, we can, ladies and gentlemen, we can make correlations with music nowadays. talking and speaking about, this lifestyle. And that's because a lot of artists have been, hurt behind, not being in certain positions. So you all can see that. So we just thank you all for tuning in live, listening, replay. We don't see any other questions in the chat. So just want to thank you all. Feel free to reach out, Christian at Trust Christian, and welcome to the vault.com. Appreciate you all. Peace and blessings. Talk to you all soon.